The last Outlander episode of the year, episode 14, has recently been released and it showed us Lord John making it back to his house and facing Jamie, William taking center stage with Jane and little Fanny, and Bree running away from Rob Cameron. It was a slow episode, at least compared to the previous episodes of part 2, which have all been pretty fast paced, and the reason for that is Diana Gabaldon. She was the writer for this episode. It's funny how, as an Outlander fan, I can always tell when she writes an episode, as her episodes are usually the ones that slow down a bit and give characters some breathing room. Some may feel like the episode was a filler, but don't worry, episode 15 will ramp things up. Let's break down episode 14 and then look at the trailer for the next episode, which reveals some dangerous stuff. William. I have been enjoying William's scenes in the last few episodes. Him getting angry at the other soldier for calling him a groom was so sad. As you know, Jamie was literally a groom, aka a servant who looked after the horses of William's mother's family, so it still showed him in a clash with his father being a lowborn and a traitor. I also feel like Jane's addition to the story in part 2 has been great. She's rather direct and straightforward, while William is uptight and righteous, which makes their dynamic quite interesting to watch. One thing I didn't understand was how she knew Latin if she ended up in a brothel at the age of 10. Did she already know the language before arriving there, which would imply she came from a very good family, considering for a girl to be educated, she would have to be the daughter of a very noble family. But then we have to ask, how did she end up being a prostitute? There's also the possibility of one client who perhaps took a special interest in her and taught her the language, because otherwise we know that she wouldn't have time to take classes or learn the language. I don't know why I focused so much on this scene, but I guess I'm curious. I would like to hear your opinions on this as well. One more thing I want to mention about Jane is the fact that they concentrated a lot on her killing that Captain Harkness guy and running away. So I feel like this will not leave them alone and we will see the repercussions of this in the remaining episodes. At the end of the episode, William is now at the hands of American spies. I cannot wait to see how he will get out of that situation. Thank God there's someone looking for him. Lord John. I have been honest with you from the beginning. I always love it when Lord John has more scenes in an episode. First, him promising his brother that he would never support the notion of American independence, and then bam, the next shot of him swearing an oath to serve the United States was cruel. I also love their introduction to Percival Percy Wainwright, or Percival Beauchamp by marriage. Those who read the Outlander books and the Lord John series will know that Percy is actually quite an important character for John. Yes, they are stepbrothers, but they're also lovers, as if you didn't get that by the way they looked at each other. I think this is just a sign that we need a Lord John Grey spin-off. What do you say? Would you watch it? Tell me in the comments. At the end of the day, I loved how Jamie called William our son and let Lord John go to find him. I feel like William will be the person who will bring these two back to normal friendship, and I can't wait to see that because I don't like them holding a grudge against each other. Claire and Lafayette. It's always one of my favorite parts of Outlander when we get to see Claire gushing over historical personalities as someone who read about them in history books. I'm sure many of us imagined ourselves in the same position. At least I know I did, especially when I saw this guy introducing himself as Lafayette. I always knew him as one of the heroes of the French Revolution and had forgotten about his involvement in the American one, so it was indeed a nice surprise. And it was funny as hell watching Claire eating that jellied eel while everyone around her was having a serious war conversation. Bree. I do feel like this storyline is getting a bit dragged out. Months have passed in the 1778 storyline, but only 2 days in Bree's? At least in the end, she got the idea to go to Roger, which was one of my theories for the remaining episodes. Bree will take the kids and travel back in time. Will they be able to find each other? In which year will they meet? I think if both of them think of the other while going through the stones, then they will meet in some middle ground, which is I hope the year Jamie and Claire are in. What do you say? A whole family reunion in the season 7 finale? I'm down for that. Now let's look at the episode 15 trailer. Well, the trailer opens up with Jamie and Claire on the eve of the battle that has been teased to us for so long. The historical Battle of Monmouth is happening, and Jamie as a general and Claire as a doctor will take part in it. While Claire is having a hard time saying goodbye to her husband, the trailer takes us back to 40 years ago when Roger and Buck are in front of the stones debating what happened in the previous episode, aka sending Jerry back to his time. Well, Roger thinks that originally his father was lost in time in the year 1739, but he changed the course of time by sending him back to the 20th century. But what Roger doesn't know is that his father was always supposed to go back to his time and die there alongside Roger's mother in the London Underground. But as we discussed last week, Jerry's body was never identified since he didn't have his military ID tags on him. As you know, he left them in 1739. Roger was just a player who helped the events take place as they were supposed to. Time travelers cannot change the course of history, as this show time and time again proved. But they can play their role and make sure that everything happens as they were always meant to be. Meanwhile, Bree is reading a letter. It has to be one of the letters Jamie and Claire sent them. Jamie is in the middle of a battlefield looking as dapper as ever. Claire is having a conversation with Rachel, I'm assuming. Rachel will probably help Claire tending to wounded soldiers. We also see Lord John and young Ian arriving at the woods where we last saw William, and they're talking to the men there. This is so exciting. The next scene shows two men on horseback. I hope these are Lord John and William. The battle is actually happening. Denzel and Rachel are running away. It looks like the American camp is under attack, and Claire doesn't want to leave the wounded people unattended, which screams danger to me. Jamie and his men are moving towards the enemy. The British soldiers are actually right in front of the American camp where Claire must be near. Young Ian is attacking one of the soldiers who captured William. Someone is holding a gemstone. I really think this is Bree. She has decided to time travel and is looking at the gemstone right before she travels. Who do you think this is? Let me know in the comments. More of Lord John and young Ian being a badass trying to save William. Claire is tending to a wounded soldier. It's really not possible to determine who the guy is, but it looks like Percival to me. I might be wrong, we'll see. More shots on both sides, then a final look at Jamie and Claire before the battle. Now, I will give some spoilers here, especially related to the title of the episode, Written in My Own Heart's Blood. If you don't want to hear them, end the video here. Thanks for watching. If you're curious, stick around. Well, this is the name of the 8th book in the Outlander book series. The title is from the most heartbreaking scene of the book where Claire is shot in the Battle of Monmouth. And she's bleeding like crazy. Perhaps you've seen this moment from the credits this season. Well, it's probably from there. Gosh, even telling the story wells up my eyes. I don't know how the hell Diana could write it. So Claire is shot on the verge of dying, and this is when Jamie decides to retire from being a soldier in the middle of the battle. So what he does is that he writes his letter of resignation with Claire's blood and does not leave her side, hence the title, Written in My Own Heart's Blood. I feel like episode 15 will end with Claire getting shot, and these gut-wrenching moments will take place in episode 16. What do you say? If you want to learn more about the future of the series, check out this video.